How will you remember Manu?
One of the great competitors this game has ever seen, and one of the classiest professionals that I've ever had the experience of dealing with in my NBA career, covering the league. Never really spoke to him much. He was always a gentleman. He was always kind and decent to everybody. For the most part, was a very fun-loving guy, very serious about his craft. He used to drive Greg Popovich absolutely mad, but the thing about it is that if you really want to know what Manu Ginobili meant to the Spurs and meant to basketball, you could look at Greg Popovich, because Greg Popovich is not a man that tolerates a lot of nonsense. He likes things done the right way. Manu Ginobili, sometimes he did things the right way, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes he had Greg Popovich pulling his hair out of his skull, for crying out loud. But you had to deal with it, because that's what made Manu Manu. And no matter what the challenge was, particularly with the Lakers, with Kobe and Shaq and those boys or whomever, Manu always rose to the challenge. He was never scared. He never ran from assignments. He was obviously a former Sixth Man of the Year. And I remember a couple of years ago when we thought it was over for him, that this was going to be his last game, and Greg Popovich started him for Game 4. When we thought it was over and that was going to be the end of his career, and he goes out there and hits 50% of his shots and drops 16 points. You know, you see stuff like killing the bat at a game, for crying out loud, slapping the bat and all this stuff. But what I loved about him was his competitive fervor and the fact that he had no fear whatsoever. And, you know, European players come over here with a different kind of reputation, at least in years past. They were considered softer, a bit more finesse, not the rough riders that some of these American players were, whatever the case may be. He put an end to all that nonsense, because that wasn't Manu Ginobili at all. And four-time champion speaks for itself, clearly a future Hall of Famer, because it's not just about your NBA career, it's about your international career as well. It's about the game of basketball. He is a Hall of Famer without question.
Some people define a Hall of Famer as the following: can you tell the story of the era without mentioning them? You cannot tell the story of basketball during Manu Ginobili's career without talking about Ginobili. He's a Hall of Famer. He should be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's the greatest sixth man of all time. Apologies to Havlicek, who was playing really pre-modern basketball.
And Bobby Jones and others,
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies to Kevin McHale, who didn't spend a very long time as a sixth man.
Vinny Microwave Johnson.
Sure, but Ginobili volunteered for it.
Yep.
He was really the first postmodern player. When you look at the NBA now, I know he's from Argentina, but when you look at the kind of European style of the NBA now, the Euro stepping, the passing, Ginobili was a brilliant, when you think of genius passers.
He modernized the Euro step.
Right, when you think of genius passers, Magic, Bird, Jason Kidd, Ginobili's one of those guys, actually. He was a genius passer. When you look at the way he moved the ball and always willing to make the extra pass, the way he saw the floor, the fact that he was also a 3-and-D guy, you mentioned never shying away from assignment, never shied away from a big shot. He is the guy, when you think of the prototypical modern player, it really starts with. He was the first one to show up with Ginobili. He has made an indelible mark on basketball history and is one of the most important players of the era.
And personified winning, because numbers never mattered to him. Not one time did you watch Manu Ginobili on the basketball court and think that numbers mattered. All he cared about was trying to win.